Flint's children suffer in class after years of drinking lead poisoned water. Erica Green, New York Times, November 6, 2019. Nakia Wakes could not understand how her wiry, toothy grinned 6 year old had gone from hyperactive one school year to what teachers described as hysterical the next. Then, in 2015, the state of Michigan delivered a diagnosis of sorts. Miss Wake's neighborhood's water, which her son Jalen had been drinking and bathing in for more than a year, was saturated with lead at some of the highest levels in the city. Jalen would cycle through 2 schools, receive 30 suspensions, and rack up 70 unexcused absences. In one of Miss Wake's clashes with Flint Community Schools, she delivered administration a warning. You can't keep suspending him because soon you're going to have to suspend the whole school system. 5 years after Michigan switched Flint's water supply to the contaminated Flint River from Lake Huron, the city's lead crisis has migrated from its homes to its schools, where neurological and behavioral problems, real or feared, among students are threatening to overwhelm the education system. The contamination of this long struggling city's water exposed nearly 30,000 school children to a neurotoxin known to have detrimental effects on children's developing brains and nervous systems. Requests for special education or behavioral interventions began rising 4 years ago when the water contamination became public, bolstering a class action lawsuit that demanded more resources for Flint's children. That lawsuit forced the state to establish the $3 million Neurodevelopmental Center of Excellence, which began screening students. The screenings then confirmed a range of disabilities, which have prompted still more requests for intervention. The percentage of the city's students who qualify for special education services has nearly doubled from 28% to 28% from 15% the year the lead crisis began, and the city's screening center has received more than 1,300 referrals since December 2018. The results? About 70% of the students evaluated have required school accommodations for issues like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known as ADHD, dyslexia, or mild intellectual impairment, said Catherine Burrell, the associate director of the center. We have a school district where all that's left are damaged kids who are being exposed to other damaged kids, and it's causing more damage, said Stephanie Pascal, who has taught in Flint for 23 years. Medical experts say there is no way to prove that the lead has caused new disabilities. Pediatricians here caution against overdiagnosing children as irreparably brain damaged, if only to avoid stigmatizing an entire city. The State Department of Education, in battling the class action lawsuit filed by the American Civil Liberties Union of Michigan and the New Jersey-based Education Law Center, enlisted an expert who testified that the real public health crisis was not the lead-contaminated water, but the paranoia of parents, students, and teachers exposed to it. But Dr. Burrell said that proving the cause of the students' problems was not the point. Many of the problems uncovered by the lead testing could certainly have existed before. We're not here to prove causation, she said. We're here to provide answers. And school officials said the problems would almost certainly get worse because there was no safe level of lead exposure. What the research says is that as they get older and the cognitive demands get harder, we will start to see the demands get higher, and the resources aren't going to be there, said Lisa A. Hagel, the superintendent of the Genesee Intermediate School District, the county that includes Flint. Tucked away in one of the neighborhoods hit hardest by the lead crisis is the 36,000 square foot early childhood center that many look to for hope. Educare Flint, funded largely by private money in response to the crisis, opened in December 2017 to serve 220 students ages 0 to 5 with lead exposures among the highest detected. The school is part of a national network that uses research into early childhood education, brain development, and the achievement gap between rich and poor to shape its approach. The $15 million facility includes mindfulness rooms and a generous playground. For parents, the opportunity to send their kids to Educare is some consolation for the outrages in their lives, like paying $100 to $200 a month for water they do not believe is safe. Lydia Willis said her 9-month-old son was getting so much here, including filtered water, that may not be possible at home. These children keep the pediatrician Mona Hanna Atisha optimistic. Though her research discovered the lead in their blood in 2015, she is looking on the bright side. The crisis has forced a hard conversation about Flint. Toxicity existed here long before the water crisis, she said. Since the crisis, partnerships have drawn in millions of dollars to expand early childhood education and healthcare services, and the fallout has created a roadmap for other cities, like Newark, that are on the brink of a similar crisis. We're leaning on the science of trauma and resilience, she said, because kids across this country are waking up to the same nightmare.